Okay, so this is our syllabus for Western or World Civ 2, Section 14. We are synchronous online with our meetings through Zoom on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3:30 to 4:45. Attendance in this class will be important because on Thursdays I will actually give you the discussion topic in class for that week, and you will have until the end of class to submit to me an outline or a general briefing of where you plan to go with the discussion. And then you will post in the discussion board itself your final draft before midnight that Thursday night. So it's going to be important that you keep up with the readings and that you keep up with all the stuff that's going on. All right, so I'm going to hit the high points here. As you'll notice, this is a 17-page document. I'm not planning to hit the stuff that is towards the end because that's all stuff that's the contractual agreement between you and the history department, you and the School of Liberal Arts, and you and the college itself, the university itself. Instead, I'm just going to hit the stuff that really applies to me because I think that's the stuff that most of you want to know anyway. So my name is Farrah Driver. I do not have a physical office. If you want to get in touch with me, you should email me at my GGC address from your GGC address. I am not allowed to open emails coming from anywhere else. If you want to meet with me outside of the prescribed times of our class, then we can set up a Zoom meeting outside of class hours as well. But get in touch with me by email so we can coordinate that if you wish to do that. All right. I will try to respond to all emails within the same day. However, if it's over the weekend, it's going to be a little longer because I don't check my emails as regularly on the weekend. Sorry, I don't know exactly. Only I went to page 17. Technology Covenant, obviously we're doing this via Zoom and through the computer, so you must have a computer. Now, every semester I have at least one student who has a computer problem. And I'm going to remind you, GGC has computers on campus in every building. There's a computer lab or a computer classroom in every building. So there is no reason for you not to be able to access a computer. If you do not live close enough to GGC to go to the campus to access a computer, all local libraries tend to have them as well. All you have to do is have a library card, and those are extremely easy to get. So if you have problems with not being able to use your own computer, there are backups all over the place. So that is not a viable excuse for missing work. Also, and on top of that, if you have problems, you need to let me know as soon as possible before an assignment is due. This is general respect. Let me know before something is due if you're not going to be able to turn it in, and tell me why. That will mitigate the late penalty for it if I know ahead of time. Do not, however, wait until after it's due to get in touch with me, because at that point in time, it's too late. Again, this is a matter of respect. Respect the fact that I've set deadlines and that you know those deadlines, and if there are going to be problems, let me know beforehand. All right, some laptops are available for checkout. In the paper version of this, these links all work, and sometimes they work in the one that's posted online as well. I don't know why you keep defaulting to page 17. I don't want page 17. Okay. So, that gets us through that section. The course information itself. This is a core impacts course. Stop that. In the social sciences area, its big questions are, again, I don't know, I'm sorry, and I apologize. I'm having trouble with my mouse today, obviously. All the stuff that you're seeing here, this is all stuff with the university that I'm not planning to talk about, but you need to read it and you need to be aware of it. So, yeah, the college things, Kaufman Library, which you will be using, they also have computers all over the place there. In fact, I think a third of the building is dedicated to computer space for students to use. And we will be discussing plagiarism and academic dishonesty, of which AI is a component, and part of why I will be giving the discussion topics in class, and why you will need to submit to me some sort of intent to write document in class on Thursdays as well. So you're going to need to be in class on Thursday. I will admit, this is the first time I've done this with doing the discussion questions in class. So it is open for change. If it becomes problematic, I'll do it in class on Tuesdays, and you could submit your intentions to write there, your drafts of what you want to do there. But the whole idea is to prevent you from being able to use AI to write your discussions or to do anything. In fact, in this year, I've given up on the final project because so many of them were being done via AI, and instead have gone to 4 proctored tests instead. All right, so for the social sciences core impacts, the orienting question is, how do I understand human experiences and connections? And most of your questions will be based on that. You will effectively analyze the complexity of human behavior and how historical, economic, political, social, or geographic relationships develop, persist, or change through the course. And with that in mind, all of the tests are essay tests, and they are all cumulative. Each one builds on information from the previous section, because history is continuous. It is not discrete. We're going to be focusing on intercultural perspectives, perspective taking, and again, would you please stop doing that? All right, really. And persuasion. Those are the big points here. And persuasion being critical thinking. How do you make an argument and support it? And that's a lot of what we'll be doing in here, and a lot of why, again, AI doesn't really work, because AI doesn't have the ability to support an argument with specific details from the required readings and textbook. And with that in mind, then, what are we doing? Our class time, as I said, is 3:30 to 4:45 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays. We will do it through Zoom, which is in our Brightspaces D2L online course function. There's a whole tab on that, which if you've watched the how to navigate our Brightspace page, will demonstrate how that works. All of your tests will be online, and they will be proctored through Respondus Monitor and Respondus Lockdown Browser, which you will have to load and have on your computer. If you are using a GGC computer, it's already on there, so that's not a problem. If you are not using a GGC computer, if you're using one of your own, you will have to download the Respondus Lockdown Browser and Respondus Monitor in order to take these. And basically what this is going to do is it's going to monitor your surroundings. It'll access your camera on your computer, both for what is on the page, what you're typing, and what is around you. So you're going to need to be in a room by yourself with no one else around, certainly not talking to anybody. You cannot get up and go away from the computer while you are taking the exam, so be sure that you have everything that you need prior to sitting down and accessing the test or exam, because if you leave, it's going to alert me, and if it alerts me, then that's going to be a 0 on your thing, so you don't want to do that. This is a survey of world history from early modern times to the present for our specific course. This means effectively the 1400s to the present. There are no prereqs for this course. If you are an incoming freshman, then you're going to have everything basically given to you, as it were. Your required text for this is Cordas's World History 2, Volume 2 from 1400. From OpenStax. It is free. It is online. You can download a PDF of it if you want to, so that you can have it on multiple devices to read. You'll also be using primary sources, many of which will be coming from the Internet History Sourcebook, but I will also be providing others for you as well. You will also be having some readings from Peter Frankopan's The Silk Roads, New History of the World, and from Yuval Noah Harari's Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. I have provided those chapters for you. Again, I know you can go to AI and get a general idea of what those chapters are about, but you can't get specific, so you're going to have to read them in order to support your interpretations with specific examples. And you will have to, of course, cite with using specific page numbers. You will also need a current written newsfeed. And if you have an Apple phone, or even if you have an Android phone, there is what is called a news function on there. It curates and posts whatever the major written news outlets publish for free on any given day. And by the major news outlets, I mean the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, Atlantic, National Review, all the publications from both sides of the political spectrum and across the board. So there are lots and lots of different ways that you can read about things. But we're going to probably start every class with a question about something that's going on today and how it is related to what we're studying that particular week. So be sure you have some idea of what's going on in the world via a written news feed, not by video. Anything else you need, I will provide for you on our My Courses page. All right, so the course goals and objectives are to use critical thinking skills to criticize and analyze historical data. And this is basically why you take a history class, regardless of which history class you take. The idea of critical thinking is that you learn to ask questions not about what's actually written, but why it was written, what the intentions were, what the bias of the person who wrote it is. All of those things that are important to understanding perspective. It's not just about what's on the page, but why it's there. Many people call this thinking outside the box, which it kind of is, but it's also understanding why this person wrote and why they wrote from this particular perspective. And a lot of that has to do with history. Also, you'll be developing your writing and oral skills to present historical concepts and ideas, and by that what we mean is not just broad theories, but also concrete examples that support those broad theories. You will learn to understand historical events over time and their connection to the present. That's a big part of why I mentioned the thing about having a current news feed. And to develop an understanding of diverse cultural perspectives across history. And with that, we want to cultivate an attitude of positive civic engagement, ethical responsibility from a local and global perspective. This course also utilizes one of the exact exercises. And this is not an optional thing. In week 3, you will have your exact assessment. The thing that you will do. It will be a CTE and it is required, and then the next week you will have a second follow-up thing that is also required. So weeks 3 and 4, the critical thinking exercise is required. It is not optional. I will explain more about it as we get closer. And it is required of all students. All 3 parts are required of you. So it's a primary source analysis followed by a consideration of other perspectives on the same source. The standard grading thing is the college, or, the college level. A is actually, you have 11 points for an A and 90 to 100. You have 9 points for everything else. 80 to 89 is a B, 70 to 79 is a C, 60 to 69 is a D, and then anything below that is an F. The grading categories, we will have a discussion every week, but I only count your top 5, and they were worth 5% each. So if there's a week, like weeks 3 and 4, when you have a mandatory CTE or critical thinking exercise to do, you may choose not to do the discussion, and that's fine. You don't have to do everything every week. You do, however, if you are doing a discussion, have to submit to me on Thursday, before the end of class, the outline for it, unless you have a specific reason not to be there, in which case you can get in touch with me and we will discuss how I will give you the critical thinking question. So the grading categories again, top 5 of 12 discussions. Again, that means you don't have to do all of them. It does mean you probably want to do more than 5, especially, well, you have to do the ones in the first 2 weeks because those are mandatory for attendance. CTE starting week 3 with the required ones for weeks 3 and 4. They too, like the discussions, are worth 5% each. You don't have to do every one of them, but you have to do at least 3, preferably more, to learn how to do them. Starting after the midterm, we'll have some quizzes. Actually, we may have a quiz for week 1 on the syllabus as well. But after that, you'll have 5 optional quizzes, of which the top 2 grades will be counted for your final overall grade. You have a midterm exam, which is worth 15%, and you have a final exam worth 15%, but you also have 2 essay tests in weeks 4 and 12, I think. I've got it marked in the thing. And they are worth 10% each. So again, these are all ones that you'll have to have respondus for, and you will be doing them closed book. The late work policy, 10% per day for up to 3 days. Again, if you do not come to class on Thursday to get the question for the discussion, or the questions for the discussion, then you have to give me some reason why you were not there so that I can share that information with you. Otherwise, you can't do the discussion that week. You need to post your top post by Thursday at midnight, filling in all the gaps and supporting it. If you can't do that, then, and if you have a legitimate reason, then you won't be counted off. But if you do not have a legitimate reason and you post on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, it's 10% per day off for the top post. It also means your peer responses will be lower because you need to do those over 3 different days from Thursday to Monday. They need to be substantive, as in you can't just say, oh, hey, yeah, that's great, I really like your idea about blah. You need to add more information and more examples about something in your peer comments that expands on whatever post you're responding to. You can also respond to me, because I will attempt to respond to everybody over the days between Friday and Sunday. So response to me, answering my questions, is actually helpful, because what I'll do is point out things in your top post that you need to expand on. So answering my questions will help you as well. Again, 10% per day if you don't have a valid reason for posting by the deadline of Thursday night at midnight. Your assessment tools, the discussions. Basically, we just did this when I did the outline, but just so that it's all written out here. There are 12 offered. You don't have to answer all of them. You don't have to do every week, but you definitely need more than 5 so I can get your top 5 grades. The first 2 weeks, the discussion posts are required because that's how I take attendance. As per the rules about attendance before the end of the attendance verification process, attendance is not based on you showing up in class, because with Zoom meetings, you can totally log on, turn off your volume, turn off your video feed, and do whatever it is you want to do while the class is ongoing. So you're not participating. But, and because of that, the attendance is not taken through actually coming to class. It's taken through your participation each week and submitting the assignments, or some assignment, one of the various assignments for that week. The first 2 weeks, it is mandatory that you do the discussions. There will also be an attendance tool on the first day of class, the first Tuesday. It will either be a short quiz on the syllabus on this thing that we're going over right now, or it will be a discussion where you ask a question about something you don't understand about the syllabus, etc. That's how I'm taking attendance. The same will be true the second week. There will be 2 things that you'll have to participate in the second week in order to be counted for attending. The critical thinking exercises are usually primary and secondary source analyses, and you'll have rubrics for those. Again, you have to do the ones in weeks 3 and 4. After that, you may choose whichever other one you want to do or other ones you want to do. There will be 5 quizzes, of which I will count the top 2. There may be 6. I put 6 on this, but there will be enough quizzes that you will have the opportunity to have a decent grade off those. They are timed, and though for the quizzes you can use your books, I'm not requiring respondents for those, it is a timed thing, and you have approximately 1 minute per question. So you want to be familiar with all of the readings and things that are up for that week. All right. All of the categories are discrete. They are not interchangeable. If you do 10 discussions and no CTEs, then your grades for the CTEs are 0s, and I'm only counting your top 5 discussions. So plan accordingly. Bear in mind that you're going to need to do work. All right, I covered the discussions, 3 different days for the peer responses, for the CTEs, and for the quizzes. Okay. Midterm and final exams are also timed tests, as well as the other. All of the tests and exams are given through Respondus. They are all essay. They are all cumulative. There you go. It's pretty straightforward. For anything you submit to me except the tests, because the tests are closed book, APA citation is required. And this is not difficult. Go ahead and learn it now. It's basically author, title, date, location, where you accessed it through a specific web link, or if it's an actual book, then it is the city and the publisher. You will have all of that citation. In fact, you already have all that citation. You've already seen the bibliographic citations in this document, back where I talked about the required readings for the class. In the internal citation that you use at the end of every sentence, where you use an idea from an author, even if you put it in your own words, the citation is open parentheses, author's last name, date, page number, close parentheses. If there's not a specific page, then you don't have to worry about the page number, but if you are referencing, as you will be, because it is mandatory, Frankopan, Harari, or anything else I give you, then you have to have the page number, because those are from books. The structure of all of our weeks runs from Tuesday to Monday. Your top posts are due by midnight each Thursday night, with a draft of the ideas to me before the end of class on Thursday. Then you need to respond substantively to 3 of your peers or to me over 3 different days, Thursday through Monday. Discussions 1 and 2 are mandatory. CTEs 3 and 4 are mandatory. The numbers are based on the week, not on whether it is the 3rd CTE. It will not be. It'll be the first CTE, but it's in week 3. So that's why it's CTE 3 and CTE 4. All right, so this is a basic outline of our course, what we're going to be doing, how we're doing it. As you can see over in the right-hand column, I have put the what's due that week. Week 4 is the first essay test. It is due by midnight on Monday. I will set it up. You can access it at any point after Friday, after Thursday probably. After Thursday, I'll set it up so that it opens on Thursday night, closes on Monday night at midnight. You will have 1 opportunity to take it. It will be timed. You will not be able to use your book, any books. So you want to be familiar with the readings. Midterms are due Monday at midnight, in week 7, because I have to grade them and get the midterm grades out by October the 1st. So, this is a pretty critical one. As with the first essay test, the midterm will also be all essay, and it will be closed book, closed notes. It will be monitored through Respondus, etc. The 3rd test is due at the end of week 10, Monday at midnight. Then the final is during the week of finals, which starts on December the 2nd. The actual last class, which I don't think we actually have it because it is a Monday, our last class will actually be in probably the 22nd of November, right before Thanksgiving break. So if you want to get in touch with me anytime after that last class, you'll need to email me and set up a time. The 30th, though, is the last day to drop. After that, they do not accept drops. And after that point, you'll drop. If you drop it, it just means you won't be taking the final, which will calculate into what your final grade is, because after the W Day, October the 13th, if you drop, you still get a grade. If you drop before October the 13th, you get a W on your transcript, not an actual grade. All right. The deadline for the submission of the final is December the 7th at midnight, because that gives me a day to grade them and get your final grades calculated. I encourage you, though, to keep up with what's going on, your email particularly, because if you end up, as I've calculated your final grade, if you end up on a cusp point, like if you're on an 89 and you want to get it up, I will let you know, and give you an offer to do something to get that grade up to an A. But you need to stay in touch with me and be on top of things. All right, important dates again. Classes begin on Monday. Our first class will be Tuesday. The drop add period ends August the 13th at the end of that first week. And then attendance verification is at the end of the second week. So if you're coming into the class late, you've got to be sure to do those discussions in week 2, or you will be dropped from the course for non-attendance. And I'm not going to let you back in. I'm pretty strict about that, because if you can't be bothered to do the work in the first 2 weeks, then you're not showing me enough responsibility to do it after that. So yes. Last day to withdraw from the class with a W is October 13th. Then we have the Thanksgiving break. And then again, December 1st is reading day. Final exams are December 2nd through the 8th. Ours is due by the 7th. All right. Course changes, because again, this is a new and different way for me to do this. I reserve the right to make changes. Again, depending on how things go, we'll figure out something about the discussions. But yes, this is where we stand with this. Everything from this point on is your other programs, the other areas of discussion, like the School of Liberal Arts, the college itself, the history department, etc. I encourage you definitely to read these things. They are important for understanding the overall context of why you're taking this course. But again, the big thing is critical thinking. All right, with that in mind, I'm going to post this and send it out to everyone and get you ready for whatever we're going to do on the first day for me to take attendance. So I look forward to meeting you all. Thank you.